Good morning, Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar.
And I'm Hemkar Soroyan. On the show today, an early intelligence assessment indicated that the US military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of Tehran's nuclear program and likely only set it back by a few months. This comes after ceasefire was agreed upon by both the countries, and Iran indicated that it will go back to the negotiating table with the United States. We'll, of course, bring you all the details on that.
Also on the show, NATO leaders have gathered in Hague for a summit which is tailor-made for U.S. President Donald Trump with European allies, hoping a pledge to hike defense spending that will prompt him to dispel doubts about his commitment to the alliance. Now, this summit is expected to endorse a higher defense spending goal of about 5% of GDP, and that's a response to a demand by Trump and to the Europeans' fear that Russia poses an increasingly direct threat to their security following the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. We'll get you all the details on that. Let's begin with the headlines.
A classified preliminary U.S. intelligence report says American strikes on Iran set back Tehran's nuclear program just by a few months, rather than destroying it as claimed by President Donald Trump.
French ambassador to the UN warns France and its European partners are still prepared to reactivate sanctions on Iran if an agreement is not reached soon on its nuclear program.
Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan holds talks with US President Donald Trump on the sidelines of a NATO summit, hailing the Iran-Israel ceasefire and urging close dialogue to end the Russia-Ukraine war.
Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel's war against Iran brought to ruin the country's nuclear program, declares a historic victory after agreeing a ceasefire with Iran, vows that Iran would never achieve a nuclear weapon.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says his country is willing to return to negotiations over its nuclear program, but insists Tehran would continue to assert its legitimate right to peaceful use of atomic energy.
"282 Indian nationals evacuated from Iran on a special flight that arrives in New Delhi from Mashhad. So far, a total of 2,858 Indian nationals have been brought home from Iran.
Oil prices ticked higher after sharp losses as markets weigh that the Iran-Israel ceasefire and US involvement. Brent and US crude rose over 1%, with investors eyeing upcoming US inventory data.
Britain to reintroduce fighter jets capable of carrying atomic weapons to support NATO's nuclear mission, expanding country's deterrence arsenal, which is currently limited to submarine-launched missiles.
Dutch King Willem-Alexander and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte toast US President Donald Trump at a royal pre-NATO summit dinner. King praises the alliance for committing to spending more money on defense.
India's Shubham Gill era in Test cricket begins with a loss. England complete their second highest successful chase to win the Headingley Test by 5 wickets.
Now, President Donald Trump has repeatedly asserted that U.S. strikes completely obliterated Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities.
However, a new intelligence assessment reportedly shows that the strikes did not totally destroy Tehran's nuclear program, but only set it back by months.
Reports said that the assessment was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, that's Pentagon's intelligence arm, and it's based on a battle damage assessment that was conducted by the Central Command after the strikes. Reports citing multiple people aware of the assessment claim that the U.S. strikes did not in fact destroy Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium, while over a dozen bombs were dropped on two of the nuclear facilities, that's Fordo and Natanz enrichment complex.
Now, they did not fully eliminate the site's centrifuges and highly enriched uranium. This is according to the report, which also says the strike sealed off entrances to some facilities without destroying underground buildings. The assessment reportedly estimated that Iran's nuclear program was delayed less than 6 months.
The White House press secretary Karoline Leavitt did not deny the authenticity of the assessment, but she added that it was flat out wrong and was leaked despite being classified as top secret.
Now, latest satellite images show that Iranian nuclear facilities, nearby buildings, an airport, and a university all sustained damage from the airstrikes. Analysts said that if the assessment was based on satellite imagery, the extent of damage to the deeply buried Fordo uranium enrichment facility would not necessarily be revealed. A report in Israeli media claimed that early Israeli intelligence assessment believes that the strike set back Iran's nuclear program by several years, but did not completely destroy it.
The report citing an official said that the Israeli assessment is constantly being updated and refined.
Now, these assessments is at odds with the statements of President Donald Trump and high-ranking U.S. officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. They have said that in the weekend that the strikes essentially eliminated Iran's nuclear program.
On Tuesday, Trump administration told the UN Security Council that its weekend strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities had degraded Iran's nuclear program, short of Trump's earlier assertion that the facilities had been obliterated. All right, for more on this, we're now being joined by Ron Lido, former U.S. military officer, former CIA contractor, and former intelligence and operations officer, Pentagon, currently Chief Executive Officer of Miami Intelligence Agency. Mr. Lido, thank you so much for joining us on WION World is One. Mr. Lido, if I was... Right. Mr. Lido, if I was just to begin with the statements that we heard earlier of Trump saying, and even J.D. Vance echoed this, saying that Iran's nuclear program had been completely obliterated. We do know that the stated goal of what we saw in West Asia was to dismantle Iran's nuclear program. And if we were to go by the statements that we've been hearing from Netanyahu, he has been saying for years now that Iran has been months away or perhaps weeks away from a nuclear weapon. From these strikes, as per the preliminary reports, Iran is still months away from a nuclear weapon. So when it comes to the military objectives and the operational success of these operations, how do you assess that?
Well, right now, we don't know for sure what is on the ground, what the results are. We will have to wait until independent third-party people will go over there, especially from international organizations, and give us an assessment. But right now, all intelligence is conflicted. Obviously, Trump wants to say to the people in the United States that this operation was great and amazing and accomplished everything, and no further operations are needed. Obviously, Israel will very soon say that they still need to destroy more. Israel, we cannot trust any intelligence that Israel gives, because all the intelligence that Israel gives to the war is basically just talking points in their own interest, public affairs. They have political goals, and they manipulate all intelligence they give to the war based on their war view, on their personal, in their national objectives. So it's not trustable at all. So we will have to wait until third parties give us a more neutral assessment. And obviously Iran also will say that that the damages were minor, that the program's still alive, etc. We will have to wait. That's the bottom line. Now, what Trump is doing, Trump wants to pacify, let's say, a lot of people in the neocon side, the globalist side of the Republican Party, saying, listen, we are helping Iran. We did very powerful strikes. But at the same time, he doesn't want to extend this war. He doesn't want to go beyond this. He wants an immediate ceasefire, and he wants an end of all military operations, because if he doesn't do that, then he risks the anger of his MAGA base, the paleo-conservative MAGA base that voted for Trump because he promised that he will not start new wars, that he will end wars, and he doesn't want this to continue. He wants to put a full stop as soon as possible because he fears a big divide between the globalist neocon side of the Republican Party against the MAGA base of the Republican Party, the paleoconservative side. So he wants to stop this as soon as possible.
Right, and that being said, news just coming in. We have just recently seen another post from Trump saying that this is fake news, and he has again said that this was the most successful military strikes in history. The nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. Now, I want your assessment on the fact that is that even a possibility to destroy completely or obliterate these nuclear sites? Is that even a possibility with these strikes that U.S. conducted?
Yes, it's possible from the military viewpoint. Yes, these facilities can be destroyed, and because of the open source evidence that I see, the unclassified evidence I see on the press, these facilities were very much destroyed or almost destroyed. What we don't know is what was inside at the moment of the strikes, because these strikes have been telegraphed for the days, perhaps weeks. So we don't know if the Iranians remove some important components out of those sites and they place it somewhere else, or they disperse those components in other places around the country before the strikes. That is what we don't know. We don't have a very accurate assessment. I mean, the DIA is very good, the Defense Intelligence Agency. I worked as a contractor for 2 years at the DIA. They are very good at what they do. But again, without having a team of massing experts on the ground, the measurement and signature scientists, forensic scientists on the ground, and without first-hand intelligence, it's extremely hard to figure out what was there at the time of the attacks. If maybe the places were empty, maybe the places were not empty, and the damage to the nuclear program was catastrophic. We don't know yet. Again, every side is gonna spin their intelligence or their talking points based on political ideology, based on their objective. For mass consumption, public relations consumption, talking points, propaganda talking points. So we will have to wait a few weeks, perhaps months, until a third party, objective, neutral third party, give us real, accurate intelligence of what's going on the ground and how effective these strikes were. But right now, again, the most important thing for Trump is to stop this as soon as possible, because he doesn't want to divide. He doesn't want to split his base of support between the neocon establishment, globalist establishment, basically most of the people in Congress, most of the pro-IPAC, pro-intervention party, against the MAGA base, the paleoconservative, alt-right MAGA base that voted for Trump precisely because he promised not to start new wars. So right now, what Trump is doing, basically, in a very strong way, is to stop at all costs any further action, because he doesn't want his base to split. He doesn't want his base to divide. That's
true. That's very true that you mentioned, and especially the fact that we don't have the reports. We can't just come to a conclusion that what can happen. But also, both these countries, Iran and Israel, they've been claiming victory over this. Of course, the basis happens to be the reports that come in to see if there was a damage. But on your part, how do you see this whole conflict playing out? And when they both have claimed a victory, where Iran is saying that we're going to go back to the negotiating table, it seems like it's back on point one, that they're going to be back on the negotiating table, and they're still very much adamant about the fact that they really want to go ahead with their nuclear program.
Well, there is the immediate goals and there is the long-term goals. The immediate goals of Israel, according to what they said, it was to stop the nuclear program. But most than that, I think more important than that, what they wanted to avoid was any kind of diplomatic negotiation or understanding between the United States and Trump. They wanted to sabotage diplomacy between the United States. Between the United States and Iran. They don't want the negotiation that have been taking place for months. They want to stop that. Obama did a diplomatic arrangement with Iran 10 years ago, and for Israel, for the Israel goal, that's terrible. So one of the main goals they had was to stop the negotiation, to stop any kind of agreement, diplomatic agreement between the United States and Iran. Also, they said that they wanted to destroy the nuclear program. But basically, I think that was not the main issue. That was not the main thing. The main thing was to stop the negotiation between the United States and Iran. And also, they were hoping or expecting regime change. They wanted a color revolution, a soft coup. They want the people to race against the regime in Tehran. They were hoping to get rid of the Islamic Revolution regime that had been in place over there from 1979. They want a regime change. They wanted to place a friendlier government to Israel. And obviously that was not accomplished. For the side of Iran, their main goal was to survive. And I think they survived. I think that this is kind of a victory, a strategic level victory, despite all the terrible damage that Israel caused, and despite all the people that were murdered, the general, the scientists, the facilities, and all the losses, just by surviving, by not being victim of a regime change, color revolution like Ukraine, Maidan, February 2014, one of these very color revolutions that the United States and the United Kingdom are very, very good doing. The CIA and the MI6, they are very good organizing this color revolution, regime change, soft coups. And if they can survive, the regime can survive, that is good enough victory for them. With time, during the next 2, 3, 4 years, even though if they don't rebuild their nuclear program, at least they are going to rebuild a lot of their military capability with the help of China, with the help of Russia, with the help perhaps of Pakistan. They will be able to rebuild their military force, their strategic missile force, their air defenses, and they will survive. That's basically what a victory for Iran looks, surviving. Israel, on the other hand, they lost a strategic choice or a strategic advantage. They wanted to destroy Iran. They want to do regime change, color revolution, put a friendlier government, perhaps the son of the last Shah of Iran over there as a friendlier government, but they lost that. They did not accomplish their objective. And basically that is a strategic defeat for Israel, because remember, Israel already got rid of all their strategic foes, all the strategic level challengers or foes in the area. They got rid of Egypt in the 70s with the peace agreement. They got rid of Saddam Hussein in 2003. They got rid of Syria just recently with the defeat of the Bashar al-Assad regime. That was an Alawite Christian Shia government over there in Syria. They got basically rid of Hezbollah, who is a terrible weak now, very weak because of the military and intelligence operations. So the last strategic foe in the area was Iran, and they wanted to get rid of Iran, but they failed. So that was a strategic defeat for Israel, a strategic victory for Iran, because they just survived. If they survive, that's good enough.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Lido, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA with your insights and your perspective on this.
Thank you very much.
Now, of course, we're moving to some other news. 282 more Indians have been evacuated and brought home from Iran.
The evacuated nationals arrived on a special flight that landed at the Delhi airport from Mashhad at midnight on the 25th of June.
Now, the Ministry of External Affairs said that a total of 2,858 Indian nationals have been evacuated from Iran so far. The evacuated Indians thanked the Indian embassy in Tehran for safely evacuating them and the government for launching Operation Sindhu.
I am feeling good. I thank God that I am here now. I am thankful to the Indian embassy there for their good conduct. I am grateful to this government.
On Tuesday, the Indian embassy in Tehran said that it was winding up the evacuation exercise following Israel and Iran agreeing to a ceasefire.
Israel said it has achieved all its military objectives. Iran confirmed it would halt retaliation if Israel's bombing stopped.
Thousands of foreigners were left stranded due to the war. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio thanked Turkmenistan for letting American citizens cross through. Initially balking at allowing Americans to cross due to U.S. President Donald Trump's crackdown on immigration, Turkmenistan agreed over the weekend after appeals from Washington.
Now, after reaching a ceasefire, Israel's airport authority said it will resume flight operations to and from the country. Restrictions on public gatherings, workplaces and schools are also being lifted. Iranian airspace will, however, remain closed until 2 p.m. local time on Wednesday. And according to state media, this is being done to ensure the security of passengers and flights.
And New York City residents are voting in the Democratic primary for the city's mayoral race.
Now, this race pits two drastically different Democrats against one another. 33-year-old Zohran Mamdani, endorsed by the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, is the main challenger to Andrew Cuomo, the former New York governor, who has been backed by the party's centrist and billionaire donors.
Cuomo is trying to make a comeback 4 years after resigning as New York governor over sexual misconduct allegations. The mayoral election will take place in November.
Now, it may...
Thank you. Thank you for Tier 6. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
It may take weeks to determine the winner due to a complicated ranked choice system for counting votes. Either way, the victor will become the favorite to take the general election in a city where Democrats dominate.
The primaries are being held as millions of people in major cities across the U.S. Northeast are facing record high temperatures. In New York City, Central Park temperatures could reach 99 Fahrenheit and surpassing the area's past high of 96.
Well, for more on the story, our correspondent Susan Terani sent us this report from New York. Listen in.
New York City's Democratic mayoral primary is unfolding amid extreme heat and political fire. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo faces off against Zohran Mamdani, a socialist Democrat and state lawmaker known for his anti-Israel positions and sharp criticism of U.S. foreign policy. Mamdani has rallied progressive voters, mostly young, while Cuomo warns that his rival's views are too extreme for the nation's largest city. With temperatures over 105 degrees Fahrenheit, the brutal heat is also testing voter turnout, notably Cuomo's older supporters and polling logistics across the 5 boroughs. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, Britain will reintroduce fighter jets capable of carrying atomic weapons to support NATO's nuclear mission.
This as per Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office. Downing Street said UK will purchase 12 nuclear weapon-capable F-35A fighter jets in the biggest strengthening of the UK's nuclear posture in a generation. Added that Starmer would announce the plan at the NATO summit.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte was quoted in a statement as welcoming the announcement, calling it yet another robust British contribution to NATO since the end of the Cold War. British nuclear deterrence within the Atlantic Alliance was provided solely by missiles aboard Royal Navy submarines.
The F-35A, manufactured by US company Lockheed Martin, is a variant of the F-35B, which is already used by the UK but which can carry nuclear warheads in addition to conventional weapons. The fighter jet can carry a payload of up to 8,160 kilograms. The F-35 rose at a maximum speed of 1.6 Mach with a range of more than 2,200 kilometers on internal fuel.
Now, the jet can be refilled and can refill its tank in air for an unlimited number of times. Now, the acquisition has been a long-standing request from the Royal Air Force. Starmer, in a statement, said that the aircraft will herald a new era for the Royal Air Force and deter hostile threats that threaten the UK and its allies. The planes are expected to be stationed at Marham Air Force Base in eastern England.
And with that, it's time now for a short break.
But on the other side of the world, we have more lined up. We have, after a gap of 5 years, the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra is resuming. We'll bring you a special report as WION's team reaches Kailash Mansarovar.
India is set for a giant cosmic leap as the Axiom 4 mission is all set for launch today. More details on the other side. Stay tuned for that.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Welcome back to WION World is One. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is World DNA. We've lots lined up for you on this side of the show as well. Let's get started with the headlines first.
President Donald Trump rebuffs U.S. media reports of intel finding that claimed strikes on Iran only set back Tehran's nuclear program by a few months. U.S. President insists nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed.
Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan holds talks with US President Donald Trump on the sidelines of a NATO summit, hailing the Iran-Israel ceasefire and urging close dialogue to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
New Yorkers are voting in a primary election to decide Democratic candidate for mayor, which pitches former Governor Andrew Cuomo against Zoran Mamdani.
Britain to reintroduce fighter jets capable of carrying atomic weapons to support NATO's nuclear mission, expanding the country's deterrence arsenal, which is currently limited to submarine-launched missiles.
Axiom 4 mission carrying India's astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 others to the International Space Station set for liftoff today. SpaceX says weather 90% favorable and all systems looking good for liftoff.
US markets close high overnight with the Nasdaq 100 hitting a record. Fed Chair Jerome Powell signals no rate cut soon, saying the central bank will wait for more clarity on tariffs and inflation.
Now, after a gap of 5 years, the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra is resuming.
It was first halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic, then due to the Galwan conflict and tensions at the LAC between India and China that lasted from 2020 to 2024.
About 750 pilgrims will be traveling to Tibet between June and August, with the first batch expected to travel from New Delhi on 30th of June.
There are broadly 2 routes that these pilgrims will take. The first route that is generally considered easier is the Nathula Pass route from Sikkim. The pilgrims will proceed via the Nathula Pass in Sikkim and Tibet's Shigatse city before reaching Mount Kailash and Lake Mansarovar. 500 pilgrims will take this route. The second route, involving 22 to 24 days of tough trekking through rugged terrain, starts from Delhi, heads through Almora and Lipu Lake Pass in Uttarakhand into Tibet to the Mansarovar Lake. 250 pilgrims will take this route.
Now, the heart of the Yatra over high altitudes and tough terrain remains the challenging Kura or Parikrama, a 52-kilometer trek around Mount Kailash.
Now, for Hindus, this is the abode of Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. It is also revered by Buddhists as Mount Meru, as well as by Jains and Buddhists.
Lake Mansarovar, nestled at the foot of Kailash, is equally sacred. A dip in its waters is believed to cleanse sins and lead to salvation.
For more on this, our assistant editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibilla, sent us this report from Kailash Mansarovar. Take a look.
WION team has reached the location and from this location we will be going to Kailash Mansarovar. Now, first things first, you need to have oxygen, and we have an oxygen cylinder, small portable oxygen cylinder, which of course we will be using, and of course making sure that we acclimatize. like this. And of course, the most important thing, sunscreen, because there is obviously a concern of your skin getting burnt, and that is something you would not like to have. So do follow these protocols, and then of course you begin your yatra. As we know that the first set of pilgrims will be reaching here, and this is of course an important moment in terms of how these pilgrims will be able to reach the base of the Kailash Parvat. Siddhant Sibbal for WION. The first set of Indian pilgrims will reach Kailash Mansarovar Yatra today. WION team will be at the site when they reach the holy place. We know that it's after a gap of over 5 years that the Yatra has started. The Yatra that was suspended because of the COVID crisis and the chill in India-China relationship. Now, last year, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Chinese President Xi Jinping met on the sidelines of the BRICS Kazan summit, and thereafter the ball was set rolling. The officials met, the Indian NSA visited China, the Foreign Secretary visited China, and it was decided to resume this important pilgrimage as part of increased people-to-people relationship. Remember, this pilgrimage happens from July to August, and it happens through two places, that's Lipulekh and through Nathula, and roughly 750 people have been selected of the over 5,000 applications the Ministry of External Affairs got. That is the nodal ministry that deals with the planning of the entire visit, the pilgrimage, the yatra, the very important yatra that of course started earlier this month, but the first pilgrims from India that left Delhi will be reaching today. WION will be on the ground. Siddhant Sibbal for WION in Lhasa.
And India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will be travelling to China for the SCO Defence Ministers meeting today.
During the meeting, Rajnath Singh and his counterparts are expected to discuss a number of issues, including regional and international peace and security, counterterrorism efforts, and cooperation among the Ministries of Defense of SCO member states. The meeting comes in the backdrop of tensions between Israel and Iran.
India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is also visiting China to attend a conclave of SCO's top national security officials. According to the official statement from India's Ministry of Defence, Singh is expected to highlight India's continued commitment to the principles and mandate of the SCO, outlining India's vision for achieving greater international peace and security, and call for joint and consistent efforts to eliminate terrorism and extremism in the region.
Now, the meeting is expected to lead up to the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting next month, which India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is expected to attend, and the SCO summit at the end of August in Tianjin, being hosted by President Xi Jinping.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to be in Tianjin for the summit, his first such visit to China since the Galwan clashes in June 2020.
Now, Rajnath Singh will also hold bilaterals with the defense ministers of participating countries, including China and Russia, on the sidelines of the meeting.
For more on this story, our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbal, has sent us this report from Lhasa. Listen to this.
Well, this week is important for India-China relationship in many ways, not only with the resumption of the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, but two key visits. The Indian NSA, Ajit Doval, was present in Beijing and he met with the Chinese Foreign Minister, and also at the SCO NSA's meeting raised the issue of cross-border terrorism. That's a clear message to Pakistan. Now, from today, the Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh begins his visit. He's the first Indian Defence Minister to visit China since the Galwan clashes. And in many years, in fact, and is reflective of the normalcy both countries are trying to achieve. In fact, China is the host of the SCO grouping this year and will be hosting the Foreign Ministers meeting and the summit as well. And hopes are high that the Indian Prime Minister will visit China for the summit that is likely to happen on 1st of September. Siddhant Sibal for WION in Lhasa.
Well, the Axiom 4 mission that will carry India's Shubhanshu Shukla to space is set to launch today.
This after, of course, multiple postponements. NASA has set a new launch date for the mission to the International Space Station. Axiom Space, SpaceX and NASA are now aiming for a launch on the 25th of June. That's today. The launch is now targeted for 1 minute after noon Indian time. The Axiom 4 mission marks the return to space for India, Hungary and Poland.
Now, ahead of the launch, SpaceX shared a view of the rocket saying all systems are looking good for the launch of the mission and the weather is 90% favorable for liftoff. The crew will travel through the orbiting laboratory on a new SpaceX Dragon spacecraft after launching on the company's Falcon 9 rocket. The targeted docking time is approximately 7 a.m. on June 26th.
The Axiom 4 mission is a private astronaut mission. Its crew includes members from India, Poland, Hungary. Peggy Whitson will command a second commercial human spaceflight mission, adding to a standing record for the longest cumulative time in space by an American astronaut. Shubhanshu Shukla will be India's second national astronaut to go to space in 41 years. Poland's Sławomir Uznansky and Hungary's Tibor Kapu are the mission specialists.
All right, now let's talk about India's Shubhanshu Shukla. The group captain Shukla is a pilot in the Indian Air Force. He has been picked as one of the 4 astronauts for ISRO's historic Gaganyaan mission. That is India's inaugural human space flight. As Indian Air Force pilot, he has received his training in Russia and has experience of flying Su-30 and MiG-29 and Jaguar AX-04. Now, he represents a milestone for India's Indian human spaceflight program, integrating with ISRO's Gaganyaan initiative. Now, Axiom 4 provides the first opportunity for an Indian astronaut.
Shukla and team will be conducting a series of experiments aboard the International Space Station. These will include key scientific studies from testing edible microalgae and space seed sprouting to muscle regeneration and survival. Also on the cards is research on cyanobacteria and human electronic interactions in microgravity.
The Axiom 4 mission to the International Space Station has been put on hold at least 6 times. The first launch date for the mission was set for May 29th.
And rain is lashing across parts of India from east to west. India is bearing the brunt of rain with flood-like situation arising in certain states.
Now, these are the images from the worst hit state in the west that you see on your screens right now, Gujarat. Incessant rains have thrown life out of gear, flooding roads and inundating low-lying areas. Waterlogging has led to shutting down of schools. The monsoon fury has caused a mayhem in the city of Surat. The city has taken a beating completely. It has recorded the highest rainfall so far.
Gujarat has recorded over 100 millimeters of rainfall in the past 24 hours. A red alert has been issued in 11 districts, including Surat. According to the weather department, the rainfall is likely to continue on Wednesday as well. The state government is on high alert. NDRF and SDRF teams are carrying out rescue operations, particularly in red and orange alert zones.
There is waterlogging everywhere. This happens every year. There is no facility to drain the water. This happens all the time. One can't take out their car. It's very difficult to walk. I'm having to lift my kids to drop them to school. It's a repeating yearly phenomenon. No one pays any attention.
The Indian Weather Department predicts the southwest monsoon will reach Delhi and the remaining northern parts of India in the next 36 hours. Southwest monsoon is likely to advance over the remaining parts of the Arabian Sea, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Chandigarh, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Punjab. Now, a yellow alert has been sounded in Delhi and NCR regions with forecast of light to moderate rain, thunderstorms and gusty winds.
Moderate rain continues in northeast India with an orange alert across all 7 states, while for southern states, Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, an alert for moderate rainfall has been issued.
Now, in a major step forward for crypto, U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell confirmed that the central bank has no problem with traditional banks getting involved in cryptocurrency as long as they manage risks properly.
Now, this means banks can now offer services like crypto trading, custody and payments more openly, a move welcomed by many in the digital asset space.
Now, this announcement came during Powell's latest update to Congress, where he made it clear that banks should not be blocked from working with crypto firms just because of the industry's past reputation. Until now, many banks avoided crypto due to what regulators called reputational risk, a vague term that often led to rejected services for crypto businesses. Now, that rule has now been officially removed from the Fed's supervision manuals.
This change brings the Fed in line with other major banking regulators like the FDIC and the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, who have already made similar updates. The coordinated effort is seen as a green light for more traditional financial institutions to expand into the crypto space.
Now, for investors and the broader crypto community, this signals growing acceptance of digital assets within the traditional financial system. It could lead to more reliable banking services for cryptocurrency companies, smoother access to crypto products for everyday users, and faster innovation in areas like payments and blockchain infrastructure.
However, the Fed also reminded banks that crypto activities must still meet strict risk, liquidity and consumer protection standards. While the door is now more open, banks must tread carefully. Overall, this marks a positive shift for crypto's future in the US, giving the market a much-needed confidence boost and laying the groundwork for greater integration between crypto and traditional finance. And England chased down 371 to register their second highest successful run chase in Tests. The Three Lions held their nerve to beat India by 5 wickets and take a 1-0 lead in Anderson Tendulkar Trophy.
Now, the result meant that India's Shubham Gill era began with a disappointing loss. Headingley has been the stage for some of England's most iconic run chases, and the legacy only continued. Opener Ben Duckett and Jack Crawley laid the foundation for a big chase. They started cautiously but quickly changed gears and brought the 100-run partnership before lunch. Duckett had a slice of luck on 97, dropped by Yashasvi Jaiswal, who struggled in the field with 4 missed chances in the match. The southpaw needed no second invitation. He brought up his 6th Test century with a reverse sweep just before rain stopped play.
After the resumption, Prasidh Krishna removed Crawley on 65. He then struck again to castle last innings centurion Ollie Pope to leave England 253 for 3. Shardul Thakur then shifted the momentum, striking twice in 1 over. He sent Duckett back for a brilliant 149 and dismissed Harry Brook for a golden duck. England still needed 118 runs, but skipper Ben Stokes soaked up the pressure, effectively neutralizing Jasprit Bumrah's threat. He fell for 33, but Joe Root and Jamie Smith batted smartly. The duo shared an unbeaten stand of 71 from 88 balls to complete a famous chase.
Now, a treat for fashion lovers, designer Simon Cracker's new collection is all about garments made of clothes that had been in some way discarded.
There's a big evolution this time. First of all, because we are hosted in a very prestigious location, and we decided in this collection to make garments that, even though upcycled, as we always do, but in a way they can be reproduced, remaining one of a kind, but with a lot of styles.
And lots happening at the ongoing Milan Fashion Week for fashion lovers. Amongst them was also Prada's new show.
Now, with global tensions escalating, Miuccia Prada and Raf Simon's attempt to bring in a conversation that has a more gentle and calm effect has been taken in this show.
The designer's latest menswear collection for the summer is their heartfelt tribute to childish innocence. More details in our next story. Take a look.
And US rapper Cardi B is finally coming out with an album, her first in 7 years.
But there is an Indian twist in her announcement. 7 years after the release of Invasion of Privacy, Cardi B announced the release date for her second studio album. The album is titled I Am the Drama. The 32-year-old music icon took to social media to tease the announcement before proceeding to share the cover art. I Am Drama will be unveiled on the 19th of September.
No, but that's not all. The rapper surprised the lovers of Indian fashion with her announcement video. Wondering why? Well, Cardi B rocked an outfit from the collection of Indian designer Rahul Mishra in the album teaser. The rapper opted for a custom floor-length dress from Mishra's Spring Couture 2025 collection.
Cardi B also released her latest single Outside on Friday. As for her journey in the world of music, it was in 2015 that the rapper made her debut. Her first solo record, titled Bodak Yellow, released 2 years later in 2017. She is known for her chart-breaking hits, WAP and I Like It, among others. Notably, her first studio album earned her a Grammy for the Best Rap Album. Now, a state of emergency has been declared on Greece's Chios Islands as wildfires continue to rage for a second day.
Hundreds of firefighters are trying to control the fire as the wind has further whipped up the blaze, causing power cuts and evacuation of residents. Take a look at this report.
And with that, we call to wrap on this edition of World DNA.
Don't go anywhere. News and updates follow on the other side of this very short break. You're watching Beyond World is One. Stay tuned.
India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at yowon.com.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Hello and welcome back. You're watching Beyond World is One. I'm Jyotsna Kumar. Let's begin with the headlines. President Donald Trump rebuffs U.S. media reports of intel finding that claimed strikes on Iran only set back Iran's nuclear program by a few months. U.S. President insists nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. Turkey's Recep Tayyip Erdogan holds talks with U.S. President Donald Trump on the sidelines of NATO summit, hailing the Iran-Israel ceasefire and urging close dialogue to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo concedes city's Democratic mayoral primary to Zohran Mamdani after Mamdani secured a significant lead in the race.